U.S. stocks likely to open lower. And we are up off the lows, but they are likely to open lower as Israel strikes Iran. Geopolitical risks offer upside for the dollar, say some experts. President Trump once again threatened to impose unilateral tariffs within 2 weeks of the U.S.'s trade partners that if they don't agree to a deal, quote, at a certain point, we're just going to send letters out. And I think you understand that, saying that this is the deal, you can take it or leave it, end quote. Trump told reporters at the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts. A couple other things that I wanted to go over here real quick. Boeing declined by nearly 5% after that Air India attack. It got some more, or Air India Dreamliner crash. We're going to cover that a little bit here, just kind of recap that. There was a survivor. I can't believe apparently a survivor jumped out of the emergency exit and was the lone survivor of that. I mean, that just gives me anxiety thinking about it. But better one than none at that point. Equities could bear the brunt of an increase in the geopolitical risks and tensions in the Middle East due to the Israel-Iran conflict. Analysts at ING said this could create some room for a brief rebound in the U.S. dollar. Quote, in other conditions, the dollar rally would likely be much larger than the roughly 0.75% rebound from the overnight lows that we've seen so far, because the dollar would also benefit from the negative stock in equities and bonds. The main concern, though, is a spike in oil prices, and I would agree with that. ING analysts highlighted that the energy price shock could force the Jerome Powell-led Federal Reserve to maintain its cautious stance on interest rate policy, which is something that has irked President Trump and others in the administration. Now, if we just speculate and carry this forward a little bit, obviously it's made news that Trump has been, let's call it, poking Powell, trying to get him to lower interest rates. Well, you got to think that Trump knew what was likely going to happen here, or perhaps he didn't know for exactly what was going to happen, but had an inkling of what was going to happen and really kind of wanted to get those rates cut. Now we're not too sure. Again, this oil factor here, we're going to see. We're going to see how this actually shakes out over the next couple of days here. Crude oil futures were trading higher earlier in the New York session by 7.14% to hover around $72.90 per barrel. Spot prices of gold rose 1.14%. None of this should be surprising. The 10-year Treasury note was slightly down by 0.01%. All other Asian markets were in the red on Friday. So again, we'll see how this shakes out. A little bit more information about this. Futures market dipped following Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, declared a state of emergency following the attack on Iran. Quote, following the state of Israel's preemptive strike against Iran, a missile and drone attack against the state of Israel and its civilian population is expected in the immediate future. As I heard on CNBC earlier, I guess the all clear has been given for that, as this was happening overnight. On Wednesday, President Trump announced that all non-emergency U.S. personnel located at bases and embassies in the Middle East will be evacuated, saying that it could be, quote, could be a dangerous place, end quote. Now, I don't know exactly how many of you kind of, I want to use the term turtled, but really kind of sold here on those comments yesterday. Now, obviously, in hindsight, that absolutely looks like the right move, right? They're moving U.S. people out of some of those embassies. Knew something was likely going to happen here. So if you were able to get out of the way of some of this on your longs, congratulations. I expected, as soon as I heard the news, I expected some of my longs to take on water here today. That's part of it. Was surprised to see when I woke up here that several of the stocks that I'm holding are actually up in the pre-market, largely because they have a defense angle to them. Now, it's very early in the day, so we're going to see how all of this shakes out, and we're going to see how the market continues to trade. I reiterate, I know I've said it a bunch of times, I'm going to say it again. We are up off of the lows already. Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a statement following Israel's unilateral strikes, stating that the U.S. was not involved in the strikes against Iran and that the government's top priority is protecting American troops in the region. Quote, let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Obviously, Iran knows that Israel and the U.S. have been allies for a long time. Israel gets a lot of weapons from the U.S., and so they're saying that we are involved as well, or the US, I should say, is involved as well. Rubio saying, hey, we didn't do this. Trump actually said he did not want this to happen not long ago. Asian markets open lower on Friday with Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 down 1.44%. I think that was probably it here. The crude oil ETF, that was the other thing I wanted to mention. Crude oil ETF, those are trading up here. There's going to be a number of different, here they are. USO, UCO, XOP, those are going to be some of the ETFs to take a look at. Those are already moving higher here today.